To Amapiano Zone UK. I hope everyone is doing well. Today I just thought I'd just make a video just to talk about chords when you're making Amapiano. So as you can expect, when it comes to making chords and setting up your sounds, this is not one of those topics that uh, usually is quite easy on the, I'd say, the YouTube sphere. There's many ways which you can probably tackle making your chords, but I will try my best to give you something that might be of use to you, because some of you might be at different stages of producing amapiano or making other genres of music, so you might find something here. It's just like I did. I don't particularly have any music theory or anything like that, or do I play an instrument, but one thing that's worked for me is making sure I understand how I want things to sound. So that's one key aspect of making sure that you can make really good chords that you'll enjoy. So what I'm gonna do in this video, I will just make a few chord progressions, save the MIDI files for anyone to use, and I'll just put them in the video description as always for you guys to use. So this is gonna be one of those videos where I'll be talking quite often throughout. So what are some things that can help you to set up your chords the way you want them? Well, sometimes for many people, they like to go straight into the playlist and use some of these. So one thing that can help you with when it comes to making your chords is just to realize that most chords are really the same thing. There's not much that's changing, but usually it's building upon certain patterns we find in music. So let me try and remove all this. Yes, it's building upon certain patterns. So it could be a major chord, it could be a minor chord, and no matter how you make these chords, their structure doesn't usually change. When I say they don't usually change, it means usually, even if it's a minor chord like this, it could just be another chord stacked upon another chord, but usually, generally, you still get the certain patterns of like minor chords in between them. And this can help you to understand that generally when you do make these kind of house music chords, you're just building up on the basic chords that are already there, so you're not necessarily making anything new. And another thing that can help you as well is to think of a chord progression for a song. You want to think of it in the same way as if you're it's a small little story. So the way I think of it is like you start the same first phrase, you have a bit of tension, and you release it. And that's basically what you want, especially when you're making house chords. You want them to be a bit mellow. Obviously you can have a major chord there, a happy sound, but it's all about that tension, that release, that tension, that release. That's what you want to have. So I'm just gonna make a few chord examples. Hopefully you guys will notice what I'm doing, because one thing that happens is when you first start make sorry, that's quite loud. When some people start making chords, they wonder why they're, or I particularly, when I was making music, I wondered why my chords didn't sound like full and thick, but I realized it's because of the way I was putting my notes and setting them up in the playlist. So like I said, you have to have the root chord inside, but at the same time you also have to stack on it so that it sounds a bit more full. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make 3 chord progressions and just leave them in the playlist and save them for you to try out. So let me start cooking one, and you see that most of the things I do is trial and error, but the most important thing is just to hear what you're trying to do. I just saw that it's easier, I'll just put it in the playlist, and just so that I have a bit of, it just helps me to have just a little bit of a reference, because sometimes I generally do make beats with, I generally do make the, put the drums out first. So as you can hear, we've got the first chord here. Obviously guys, I don't know what that is, but I just know that it sounds the way I want it to sound, or what I would imagine it to sound. So what can I do next? Now I'm thinking, with chords you can either go up or you can go down. I'm thinking, okay, I want to go down, but I want to go down and just maybe be a bit more open. When I say open, is like this might be a bit of a tense chord, so when I go down I want it to be less tense, but obviously of a different sound. So one of the first things you can do is try to imagine where your sound would be. So I'll just anchor it there and see how that sounds. So you can see that doesn't sound quite nice, because that's not the sound I'm looking for. So what I'm gonna sometimes what I do is I can take away some notes just so that I can see maybe what needs to be changed. So So now what I'm gonna do, I've opened it up a little bit. I'll go a bit higher. I'll just go maybe probably a few steps higher. So as you can see, I've just kept that note long. So what I might do here is I'll put the note at the bottom, maybe a bit higher. And then you can move it around. Once you've got your basic structure, that's when you can now add little embellishments just to make it sound a little bit nicer. Because this is just a simple chord, so I just add a few and get on to the next one. So you don't want to overthink your chords, but just be patient, a little bit patient. And generally, sometimes the sound you want is not too far away, but just try to think of it in the same structure. Sometimes I find I make different sounds and I just work around it. There's no secret to making chords, but I would say the most important thing is in your mind. Make sure you know what you want to hear, and if you know what you want to hear, you know what sounds right, and if you know what sounds right, you're able to make it come out as you would want it to be. So take your time and you can make really good chords. So that's number one. I'm gonna save this. This will be chord A. Now save it there. Let's make another one with the pattern 2. I know. So this is a minor chord, for example. This is just a simple minor chord, C. Hold on, yeah, C, D, and A. Let me just make sure. Yes, that is a minor chord. So I'll just build on this simple minor chord and see what I can make out of this. So just notice the difference. It doesn't sound as full, but add some of these notes. That's a different sound. So we're gonna make a different style of amapiano chord. This is just the I call it the 2 style. It's a more simple chord, but it's not as difficult because it's only like 2 main chords. And then what you can do from here on is now think about the bass notes. One thing that can help is to hum the bass notes. Like you could just think, so. So you guys can already tell I wanted to have something here, so I'll put. So I want the bass note. I think it might do with being actually here. So I might cut it here. I don't know, I feel it. Put it there. I feel this one going down. No, actually. A little bit. So with some chords don't like. If you want your chords to sound as natural as possible, try to not make sure that they don't jump too much. Like you don't want the chords up here and you have some notes up here. This obviously when you're playing them on as MIDI here, they're not always gonna sound like this in real life because we can program the notes. But sometimes if you were playing them in real life, this would be more possible for your fingers to actually play, as opposed to what we're trying before. So these are just another example of a chord pattern you can do without overthinking it too much, because that's what you do. You lay down the basic formation that you want to do and you build up upon it, and that's essentially the key to getting your chords to sound the way you want them to. So next one. Another thing as well you can try, this is also another good method. You can start from the bass notes. So sometimes if you imagine that you were playing it and you had the sound coming from the bottom first, you can also work from there, and that can also help your tracks to just be a bit different. So work from the bass notes as well. Like I'm doing, for example, I'm using my ears. So I just have a feeling, if think of it this way, if you make a good chord here, you can drag the same chord and put it down. And obviously what I'd like to do is I try to look for, let's say I'll just say my root note is D. So I'm gonna maintain this D throughout my chords, and that's what I'm just gonna try to maintain and not change that too much and build up. So even if this sounds bad, I think we can actually copy this one over. So thank you all for watching. Hope this might have been helpful. Like I said, I'm no music theory expert, but I just love making music, as you see, and at the end of the day, it's a learning process. But what I'm just trying to say is, whatever you do gain for this video, or whatever, even if whatever you lose, think of it in that same way. Just try to hear what you want to hear, train yourself to hear what you want to hear, and then read as much as you can on music theory. But at the same time, don't think it's something that's super fancy. It's really just understanding, to think to yourself, okay, if I put these three together, it's really understanding that every single chord is really the same and all the notes are the same. So you have to build up from the basic notes. Just if you know what a simple major chord is, a minor chord is, every chord can be built from those, and you can add notes and build it the way you want, as long as you hear it that way. So I hope this has been helpful, and we'll speak to you again on Amapiano Zone UK.